Hello everyone, this is going to be your 180 literary for the RPR simulator, and this will be 5 minutes long. Ready? In the advertising agency where I work as a copywriter, the word has long since gone around that I am vaguely daffy. It's true that I become involved in impossible situations and rarely say what I mean. Things have worsened steadily since Glenn Gordon came in as creative head of our agency. The first time Glenn ever saw me was the day Gregory Peck toured our offices, gathering background for an acting role. At the moment, I was in the art department waiting for an artist friend to return from lunch. Sitting at a drawing board, idly drawing rectangles, I suddenly looked up to see Glenn Gordon, Gregory Peck, and other important folk filing in. Sizing up the situation quickly, I did what I maintained was the right thing. Glenn Gordon was there to show Mr. Peck artists. I became one. I drew rectangles furiously. "This is what we call the bullpen," Glenn said. "Here our rough ideas are rendered into finished layouts to show clients." He smiled at the artists in the bullpen. He smiled at me. Gregory Peck smiled at me. I smiled back. As soon as they left, I decided not to wait around for the artist any longer. I texted for him to call me, took a shortcut to my office, and started writing up a draft from my computer. Shadows fell across my opaque glass cubicle. Voices murmured. I looked up, appalled. There was Glenn Gordon, Gregory Peck, and others. "This is a typical copywriter's office," Glenn began. "Here, basic copy is—" He stared at me and his mouth hung open, caught on a syllable. I smiled up at him. I smiled at Peck. The group moved on and I returned to my work, but my heart wasn't in it. I knew with a dread certainty that Glenn and I would meet again. A week later, a secretary had her purse stolen. Presuming it had been taken by a transient messenger and hoping at least to recover the bag, she asked me to search the wastebasket in the men's room. I went in and began looking through the big basket. Glenn Gordon entered. It didn't occur to me that he had no idea why I was examining crumpled paper towels in the lavatory of a $100 million advertising agency. I saw it only as a good time to explain the Peck incident. I rose up from the basket and said about Gregory Peck, "I wasn't twins the other day. I was in the art department to see about cutting up some horses. It didn't come out right as usual, but I had been there that day to get some photos of horses trimmed and mounted." Glenn backed away slowly, nodding at me. After that, things went smoothly until the day we came face to face in the production department. Glenn motioned me to a chair. Obviously, he needed to know more about me, and wonderfully enough, I was equal to the occasion. We chatted easily about a variety of things. As we talked, Glenn became visibly relieved. I decided to quit while I was ahead. I stood up quickly and leaned toward Glenn to say goodbye. A simple "so long" or "nice talking with you" would have sufficed, but as I searched for the appropriate farewell, my mind gave way completely. No words came. Glenn, having no inkling that I meant to leave and unable to understand why I was suddenly towering over him silently, froze like a frightened rabbit. My mouth began to move wordlessly. Finally, I managed to speak. "Me go now," I said hoarsely, and walked away. Why I said that had an explanation, but it's the kind that never can be given without adding to the confusion. I had been reading about Robert Benchley, once attending a bad play involving a character who had spoke broken English. Benchley had said "me go" and left the theater. The phrase stuck in my subconscious until it tumbled out to help do me in. Soon there was another incident, the time 4:20 p.m. of a hectic day. I had just escaped from a meeting and was headed for the 11th floor and the sanctuary of my own office. The elevator door opened and there naturally was Glenn Gordon. He smiled resolutely and said, "Hi there, how are you?" I stepped aboard and answered, "Hi, just getting back from lunch?" If you were to convene all the authors of all the articles on how to succeed in business and ask them to select the one phrase not to be uttered to the boss at 4:20 in the afternoon, just getting back from lunch, would score victory by acclamation. Do believe me, that isn't what I meant to say. Exactly what I meant to say, I do not know. That was Tuesday. Wednesday was worse. I took a late lunch and celebrated a crisp winter day in Manhattan by buying my fiancée a huge stuffed poodle. On my way back, I saw a pair of earrings I thought she would like and bought those too. When I returned to my desk, I had a clever idea. I decided to put the earrings on the dog's ears and thus give both presents an original touch. I unwrapped the big poodle and hoisted it up onto my desk. Carefully, I began fastening a silver bell-shaped earring to a floppy ear. As I bent to my task, Glenn Gordon came down the aisle and glanced in my office. Everywhere about me, dedicated copywriters were hard at work, and I was putting earrings on a stuffed poodle. I grinned and said, "Dog." He stared, opened his mouth to speak, and then rushed away. I have not seen him since. I start each day with trepidation, waiting for a pink slip to flutter in. What I will say then? Me go now, I guess. Okay, so we do have a word list. We've got Glenn Gordon, capital Glenn, Gordon, capital Gordon, Gregory Peck, capital Gregory, Peck, capital Peck, Robert Benchley, capital Robert, Benchley, capital Benchley. And this concludes your 180 literary for the RPR simulator. Good luck.